the news of the death of Antonio Rattin began to circulate on the internet space at the beginning of the week, it meant one thing and one thing only, that the semi-final match between England and Argentina had automatically ceased to be an ordinary football game. It was definitely going to be war on the pitch. Yes, you may ask me, who is Antonio Rattin? Antonio Rattin was the football captain, the captain of the Argentine team at the 1966 World Cup. In that match, in the second round, it was a tough match between Argentina and England. And though the English team were hosting because the World Cup that year was held in England, the Argentines were pressing. But at a point, Antonio Rattin, he was the captain and a no-nonsense defensive midfielder. He had a tackle on an opponent, and the German referee at then cautioned him. But unfortunately for Rattin, he could not speak English, neither could he speak German. As he approached the German referee to ask him, "Sir, what was his problem?" he could only speak in Spanish. And as the German referee tried to explain to him that he played rough, he kept insisting. As we'll find out later, he did not understand the German did not understand him. And as he kept asking, he kept speaking in Spanish, the German referee got angry and sent him out of the match. And to date, that is being recorded as the first red card that occurred in a World Cup. When Rattin was asked much later, he was told and he said, "I didn't understand what he was saying. All I was asking the referee that he should please get an interpreter for me so that I will understand." But for the referee, he said Rattin was being vulgar and he deserved to leave the pitch. And that's how the first red card in the history of the tournament was issued. On his way out, Rattin got angry and he squeezed the corner flag that held the English flag. He squeezed it as he walked out and went further to sit on the red carpet that was specially preserved for Queen Elizabeth. He refused to stand up. He was stoned by the crowd. He was jailed by the crowd. But he sat right there and watched the remainder of the match. Unfortunately, in the dying minutes, England scored a goal. And that's how Argentina was kicked out of the World Cup in 1966. It was that historic event that led to the introduction of what we now know as the red card and the yellow card. That was the only way people who didn't understand English had one football language whenever they played rough or were unfair to an opponent. That was the introduction of the yellow and the red card in the next tournament in Mexico in 1970. Fast forward 20 years later, in 1986, at the World Cup Mexico 86 at the Azteca Stadium, it was a quarterfinal match again between England and Argentina. And that was one of the historic matches we've ever seen in a World Cup, where a certain Diego Armando Maradona scored 2 goals. In his first minute, he went and scored with his hand. To date, is referred to as the hand of God. For his second goal, he went on a amazing run, dribbling 6 English defenders, practically the half of the English team, and scored the goal that was later dubbed the goal of the century by FIFA. Yes, England managed to score one by Gary Lineker towards the end of the match, but the match ended in favor of Argentina. Of course, it was no longer news. Argentina went on to win the World Cup that year by virtue of Diego Armando Maradona. 12 years later, in 1998, yes, Argentina and England met again. It was a tough match. Batistuta scored the first goal by a penalty. 4 minutes later, in the 9th minute, Alan Shearer scored the equalizer with a penalty. And another fantastic goal, similar to the one Maradona scored 12 years earlier, was scored by Michael Owen. Owen dribbled past practically all the members of the Argentine team and scored a fantastic goal. However, it was also equalized. Xavier Janati made it 2-2. Then, 2 minutes in the second half, a foul by Diego Simeone. Yes, the same Diego Simeone now, who now coaches Atletico Madrid, had a foul on David Beckham. In anger, because of how hard the tackle was, David Beckham retaliated against Diego Simeone, and David Beckham was issued a red card. And that's how England played with 10 men. At the end, the match went into penalties, and David Batty missed his decisive kick for England. And in 1998, Argentina defeated England. Fast forward 4 years later, in the tournament in 2002 in Korea and Japan, England again faced Argentina, this time in the group stage, which also included Nigeria. But in this match, David Beckham, the villain of 1998, he scored the winning goal against Argentina. The match ended 1-0 in favor of England. Fast forward 24 years later, this year, 2026, is a semi-final pairing between England and Argentina. Both teams are set for war. Remember, Lionel Messi said he has never played against England. This will be the first time Lionel Messi will play against England, and he has promised that this will not just be an ordinary match. Both teams have a history of red cards, history of injustice, history of being cheated one way or the other. The Argentine team has said this is a revenge mission. They want to win it again. For the late Antonio Rattin, for the late Diego Maradona, and for the legend Lionel Messi. Will England allow this to happen? Your guess is as good as mine. The match takes place on Wednesday, the 15th day of July, 2026. It's a match nobody, not even you, will love to miss. Yes, for predictions, I will hold on for now. After the first semi-final, I'll be back here to talk about the match between Argentina and England and give you the precise predictions of what the match is going to be. Yes, this is ZIPE'S Striker channel, where you get the latest updates about all the happenings, all the intrigues of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Continue to share, continue to subscribe, follow. Let's see your likes, let's understand your comments. What do you think? Who wins the match between England and Argentina? Yes, my name is Zipe, and I love to wipe when the time is right.
Zipe the Striker.